All right, let's talk about the myth of productive multitasking. Today, we're going to tear apart a core belief of modern work culture. It's this habit we've all been told is the key to getting more done. But what if it's actually the biggest thing holding you back?
Okay, let me paint a picture for you. You're at your desk, fork in one hand, mouse in the other. You're trying to answer a super important email while, shoveling in a sandwich, and maybe you've got a YouTube video playing in the corner. Sound familiar? We've all been there. You feel like a productivity machine, just crushing every single second. But what if that whole habit is actually wrecking your focus?
And that's where we get to what our source material calls the productivity bug. Seriously, think of it like a glitch in your brain's operating system. It's this system error that we've all somehow been convinced is a high-performance feature.
And here's the part that's just so frustrating, right? You're putting in the hours, you're grinding, you feel incredibly busy, but then you look back at the end of the day and the work, it's just not good. It's full of tiny mistakes, it's missing that creative spark, and man, it took way longer than it should have. You're just mistaking motion for actual progress.
So, what is the root cause of this bug? Well, it all comes down to this massive misunderstanding of how our brains are actually wired, so let's get into it and just dismantle what's known as the multitasking myth.
I mean, you can't get much clearer than that, right? This is the absolute core truth we're digging into today. That whole idea that our brains can genuinely focus on multiple complex things at once? Yeah, according to the science, it's a complete and total myth.
So here's the thing you have to understand. What we call multitasking isn't what's really happening in our heads. We've got this bug, this belief that tells us, hey, I'm a productive multitasker. But the reality of what's going on upstairs is this. I'm a rapid task switcher. You're not doing two things at once. You're just bouncing between them really, really fast. And that constant switching, it has a huge hidden cost.
And every single one of those little switches forces your brain to do something that is just incredibly inefficient. It kicks off this process that our source material just perfectly describes as restarting from zero.
This is what's known as cognitive cost. And you have to understand how big a deal this is. Think of it like a tax on your attention. Every time you switch, from your report to your email, back to your report, to a quick notification, you're paying this mental tax, and it's not cheap. Some research suggests it can take over 20 minutes to get back into that deep focus after just one tiny interruption. That's a massive, invisible drain on your energy, and it's absolutely killing your momentum.
So, how does this actually work? Well, let's walk through it. You're deep into task A. Let's say you're writing a really complex proposal. Then, boom, a notification for task B pops up. A new message. You're distracted. And here's the crucial part. To even read that new message, your brain has to purge all the context of the proposal. It literally just dumps that whole web of ideas it was holding. So when you switch back, your brain can't just pick up where it left off. Nope, it has to reset and reload everything from scratch.
And this is the brutal result. Every single time that reset happens, any momentum you built up on that original task drops to zero. Gone. That feeling of being in the zone, it's wiped clean. Imagine you're pushing a heavy boulder up a hill, but every few feet, you check your phone, you let go, and that boulder rolls all the way back to the bottom. That is what you're doing to your brain every time you task switch.
All right, so we've diagnosed the bug, we've seen the damage it's causing. But the good news is, there's a fix. The source material calls it the single tasking patch, and it is the key to repairing and rebuilding your ability to focus.
So the heart of this patch is a simple but really powerful command. Cut cheap dopamine. What does that even mean? Well, it means you have to intentionally resist the constant pull of easy distractions. See, every notification, every new tab, every quick scroll, it gives our brain this tiny, addictive little hit of something new. That's cheap dopamine. And this patch, it's all about starving your brain of those easy rewards so you can retrain it for deeper, more meaningful focus.
And here's how you can start. It's almost deceptively simple. Remember that lunch break from the beginning of our chat? Well, the single tasking patch says, if you eat, just eat. That's it. Put the phone down, turn off the video, just experience the food. By doing this one tiny thing, you're staging this powerful little rebellion against distraction. You're starting to reclaim your focus and actively rebuild the mental pathways in your brain that you need for deep work.
And why are we doing all this? For this. The ultimate goal is to get into what are called flow states. You know that incredible feeling where you are completely absorbed in what you're doing? Time just kind of disappears, you feel energized, challenged, and your best work just pours out of you. Flow is the total opposite of that scattered, frustrating feeling of task switching.
It is the absolute peak of productivity and satisfaction, and you can only get there through dedicated single tasking.
So that brings us to the end, and I really want to leave you with this question. Look, this isn't about overhauling your entire life by tomorrow. It's about starting small. So, what is one single task today, whether it's making your coffee, reading one article without clicking away, or just eating your lunch, that you can give your full, undivided attention to? Just start there. You might be really surprised by what you find.